Welcome to Tofurious Toys. Thank you for joining me for this review of the Yuletide entity known as Krampus from the Figura Obscura line from the Four Horsemen. I'm excited to get to talk about this guy even though I was not even aware of his existence a few weeks ago. The figure has an outside cover, and this is the front flap of the outside cover. Here we have the spine on the right side with a picture of Krampus and the different web addresses for the Four Horsemen. On the back we have some Krampus lore amidst a snowstorm, and at the bottom there is some legalese. On the top in the midst of the same snowstorm is a window in the shape of a K. The bottom shows some more legalese, more website information, and the logo for the Four Horsemen. The right side of the actual box shows a tree in the middle of a snowstorm covered in snow, with a candle on the top of the tree. The left side shows another snow-covered tree with the corner of a snow-covered cabin. On the back we see the rest of the cabin sitting on a sketchy cliff with Krampus scoping him out from below. The front display shows the beast, the myth, the legend himself, Krampus, the anti-clause. Time to release the beast from the cardboard prison. Alright, let's get into this. Let's look at the stuff attached to the back piece of plastic first. Here's the basket to strap to his back. This is to cart off evil children for drowning, eating, or transportation to hell. Okay, wow, I didn't expect anything to be inside here. Let's get that out. It's packed in there tight. A skull. Another skull and a strap. Skeleton hands. Here's the standard Mythic Legion weapon belt. Nothing left inside the basket here. Here are some extra skeleton hands for converting the figure into a skeleton figure. Here is one of the alternate heads. It has a moving jawbone, same skull that came with Mandibulus. Does this one have a moving jaw? No, didn't think so. It's able to be smaller because it doesn't have moving parts. Well, let's get this creepy looking tail out of here. Pretty nice sculpt work. My buddy said that Krampus goes so hard, and I'd have to agree. Here is the bundle of birch branches for swatting all the terrible children. Seems like a pretty simple sculpt, but the paint goes a long way to making it look pretty great. Here is the chain that he is known to thrash from time to time. The chain itself is made of real metal. It's pretty gorgeous. Here are the bells that he uses as an accompaniment to his chain thrashing. Here's an alternate right hand for gripping. Here is the left hand for gripping. He has some pretty gnarly claws. Here is a length of rope. It's probably used for strapping the basket to his back. I went ahead and untwisted the wires off screen so I can get him out easier. First we'll take a look at the sculpt and the paint and get an overall look at the figure. He's an all-black figure with black hair with a little bit of gray dry brushing to bring out the detail of his head and mane hair. The brown dry brushing on the horns bring out the detail in those. His loincloth has the same dry brushing with some red straps. Looks like he's into some bondage. The sparkly paint on his armor is pretty gorgeous as well. Those red eyes and that blood red tongue are the thing of nightmares. A piece of paper dropped out when I first opened the figure that said, "Hey man, be careful with the joints, especially in cold weather," so I'm a little nervous here. Just trying to get a visual inspection of all these joints before I start going over articulation here. Let's look a little bit more at the armor here. He has some gauntlets. His falds and leg armor are molded in the same sparkly plastic. Let's take another look at this face. That's a face only a mother could love. It looks like he has blood on his teeth. That's insane. I love this. Alright, let's go over a little bit of the articulation. Shoulder comes up that much. Get a full 360 rotation at the shoulder. No upper bicep rotation, but there is rotation where the bicep meets the elbow. The wrist articulation, it goes down that much. Goes back a little bit further. His mane doesn't allow for too much upward or downward motion, but there is a good amount of side-to-side motion here. He has no ab crunch, but where the upper torso meets the lower torso, there is a little bit of movement that simulates an ab crunch. Peeking under the loincloth here, we see that he has upper thigh rotation and hip joints that go out that far. Full 360 rotation at the upper thigh cut. Single jointed 90-degree bend at the knee. 360-degree motion where the knee joint pegs into the lower leg. A forward-facing pin for ankle articulation on this hoof. Time to violate Krampus. I wonder if it needs some lube. This isn't working out. I'm scared to break it. After running it under some hot water for a few moments, it popped in pretty easily. Tail has that much motion in it. I nearly broke the tail to my Cowros figure, so I learned my lesson there. Getting the ruler back here, we see that he stands at about 7 1/8 inches to the top of the back of his horn there. The first figure for comparison is the deceased DC Essentials Hal Jordan. Next up is a Mattel Masters of the Universe He-Man designed by Four Horsemen as well. Get the Hal out of here. Here we have a Super 7 Raphael. He's always grumpy. He probably needs to be visited by Krampus. Get out of here, He-Man. Next up is the love child of He-Man and Battle Cat's sister, Cowros. With the retreat of Raphael, we can throw in a Super Shredder from NECA. He's definitely been bad. He should be visited by Krampus. Cowros, go hide over here and make room for Keltis, another offering from the Four Horsemen. Skedaddle Super Shredder, gotta make room for Samus Aran by Figma. Currently on my third playthrough of Metroid Dread, so she's been on my mind a lot. Here's hoping Figma releases some Metroid Dread figures. Speaking of Dread, here's the Dread Pirate Roberts. He needs a visit with Krampus for acting as if he was going to hit Buttercup. Here he is, all dressed up and ready to go punish some children. Got them bells, got them chains, got that switch. Last but not least, the basket for carting terrible children away to hell. I sure am glad that I grew up with the Santa Claus mythos as opposed to this Krampus mythos. That's creepy. The way I understand it, this is mostly reused parts. Just this head here is new. Maybe that tail. I don't really have enough Mythic Legions figures to be able to spot reused parts. Pretty excited to have some more skulls to throw into some dioramas. They'll probably be displayed on those barrels in the background in future videos. There it is, you guys. It has been my pleasure to review the Yuletide entity known as Krampus from the Figura Obscura line from the Four Horsemen. I do appreciate your time if you have stuck with me this far. If you like what you've seen, please tap the thumbs up. If you didn't like it, please let me know how I may improve future videos. Thank you for joining me here at Tofurious Toys.